Yeah, we could talk this in circles forever. There's something much more important happening, and that's that George Santos is still in Congress.
I love George Santos. No, I hate George Santos as much as I love George Santos. It's just evens out.
Yeah.
So I'm technically indifferent towards George Santos, even though I both hate and love him so much. I don't even know how that's possible. But mathematically, I'm indifferent to George Santos, and I'm obsessed with him.
He's one of the most impressive con men.
Grifter.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He is a total con man.
Yeah, he's like Donald Trump, but came from nothing.
Yes, he is literally a poor man's Donald Trump.
Yeah, he is. And just to clarify, every time I say stuff like this, I don't want to be confused with one of these, like, woke marcher people. Be like, no, Trump bad. My position on Donald Trump is that he is a bad, obvious con man, dirtbag. And he always has been. He's a construct of television.
Donnie Darko thinks he is the Antichrist.
Yes.
And he makes a good case.
He does make a very good case.
Because the astronomy and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into it in my Culture Trump, which I'm working on.
So I'm not saying he's a con man just because, like, I don't like Trump.
No, he's a literal con man.
Literally a con man.
He has orchestrated some of the greatest cons. Let's just take this back. Representative George Santos was elected in 2022 out of New York's Long Island district.
Yes.
And he's a Republican, and the Republicans don't want to give him up because they don't want to give up the vote. But George Santos has been proven to have lied about just about everything he has ever said.
Literally from where he was born, where his parents are from, to...
He said his mom escaped the South Tower in 9/11, was not there.
Yeah.
That is a lie. Said his grandparents had survived the Holocaust. That's not true.
He said he went to this prestigious high school. He didn't. He said he went to this prestigious college and played volleyball and won a national championship.
Which is easy to look up.
Yeah.
I don't know how it took him forever. He wasn't caught until after he was already elected. And then the people who supported him were like, oh, yeah, this guy's a liar. Please resign. And he was like, I'm not resigning.
Yeah, these people...
Bitch, make me.
Yeah, right. And he's just such a lovely, lovely liar.
He lies about everything. He lies about everything.
He is such a dirtbag that his crimes range from writing bad checks in Brazil, where he grew up,
to get nice shoes and nice pants,
to stealing a roommate's scarf that he
his
then
Burberry
wore.
scarf.
He then wore on television during his acceptance speech.
No, it wasn't an acceptance. It was January 6th because
Ah.
he had been defeated in Congress before. So he went to January 6th and he said the election was stolen from Trump, just like the election was stolen from me. Election was not stolen from Trump. Election was not stolen from him. And could you imagine being that roommate, some gay dude in Queens, looking at your TV and being like, is this bitch lying on the worst day of my life?
And oh my God, that's
scarf?
my favorite scarf.
I'm done. I'm done with everything. It is so funny. It's so messed up. Oh, and
Wait, before we get to that,
Yeah.
his crimes also ranged up to, which this might be the one that gets him probably arrested, is his involvement in this insane multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme.
Oh, yeah. He was involved in a
Yeah.
Ponzi scheme. That was his job. He said he was a funds manager and the funds was a Ponzi scheme.
Right. And remember, he's a Republican. And after he was elected, a bunch of pictures came out of somebody who looked a lot like him, dressed in drag. In
Brazil. He was a
Brazil.
Brazilian drag queen.
And he admitted to it. He was like, yeah, I was in college having fun. Which, look,
Because he's a gay man. He's married. He's openly gay, married, Hispanic, Republican.
Yeah. So, hey, man, good for you.
Which means the Republicans voted for an openly gay Hispanic.
Which is amazing.
Let's progress.
New York Republicans, to be clear.
Still, this is progress.
Yeah.
And turns out he's a liar. They
Dang.
shouldn't have. No, they shouldn't have voted for him, but it was okay to vote for an openly gay Hispanic
Yeah.
Republican.
Well, and in defense of the voters that got him elected, he really did win on a fluke, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
he was
yeah,
running he was running in a district that was always going to be a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
It was one of those elections where it's like, I'm running as a Republican, even though everybody knows there's absolutely no way I can win. So he was uncontested as the Republican nominee because it didn't really matter. And the Republicans liked the optics that there is an openly gay Hispanic man running.
Yeah,
right?
so he's this kind of guy would lose the election, but he could still give a speech at the conservative conferences,
Yeah.
and it would be cool. It was like, look, we got one. Put him behind Trump. When Trump's speaking, it doesn't matter. We don't
Right.
know who this guy is.
But then that district during the election was redrawn.
Mm-hmm.
So the district that he was running in became a sure win for a Republican. And remember, he was running uncontested. So he won. And then everybody was like, oh, shit, we should have really looked into this dude.
We should have vetted this guy.
Before we let him run uncontested.
We should have Googled who won the volleyball match of that year. Easy to find out. You could have asked probably a few people in the district knew the answer to that because they were on the team. Like, we don't know this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I think his funniest grift was he started a charity for like wounded dogs or something. He started this charity for wounded dogs, and of course there was no money for wounded dogs. He just kept it all. He just pocketed all that money.
So funny.
Like, what a scumbag. This
Yeah.
is a sleazeball. Like, who does this? Who even thinks to do that?
It's great. And he refuses to resign, even though he's been caught in literally every lie he's probably ever told now. Because the information machine that should have been working when he was running on the Republican side finally turned on after he had won. And everybody's like, oh no, this person is a sociopath to like an absurd degree. Like he's
Pathological liar.
It's amazing.
Yeah, this guy should be studied for case studies. Now, my favorite thing was when this whole Israel-Palestine thing was going on, I'm watching the 24-hour news, just flipping between 24-hour news feeds, because luckily I get to be home with a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to do this, and it gets to consume my life. But there was just a hubbub in the hallways, and George Santos had gotten into a fight with this pro-Palestinian protester. And George Santos, they're like, we have to cut from this feed right now. George Santos has gotten in a fight in the hallway. I'm not sure if it came to a shoving match.
The hallway of Congress.
Of Congress. And I'm not sure if it got to quite to be shoving, but there had to be Capitol Police to come and break them up. Because George Santos is yelling at this pro-Palestinian protester. He's like, you support terrorists. You shouldn't be in the halls of Congress like George Santos should be in the halls of Congress. But he's screaming, you shouldn't be allowed in here. I can't believe this. You're yelling at me. You're saying all these pro-terrorist things, and I'm holding a baby. How dare you? And I was like, what is this? Where is this baby? Why do you have a baby? Why are you yelling at this man? The man's Jewish. I didn't understand anything, and nobody ever explained it. Nobody ever came back to it.
Nobody ever clarified whose baby he was holding.
Well, we looked for this news story because there were all these reporters around, because I guess they're just hanging out in Congress now. All these reporters are around. George Santos gets into a shouting match with this Jewish pro-Palestinian man, I guess.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I just asked a question. And then he gets arrested and taken away. And George Santos is like, I had a baby. How dare you accost me with a baby?
Does he just walk everywhere with a baby now so that he can't be accosted by reporters or people who are like, hey, that's my scarf?
I don't know who gave him their baby. Like, who would trust George Santos with a baby after everything he's done, even though he'll hold a baby? Is it a real baby? I wouldn't put it past him to just have like a baby doll.
Like a prop baby.
Yeah, and be like, how dare you? I'm holding this baby. How dare you ask me about all my lies while I have a baby in my arms? Like, sir, that is not a baby.
Well, I don't know what that says about us, but that's a...
Oh my God.
So everything's a mess.
So this has been a snapshot of November 2023. We'll revisit this next week.
Yeah, this will be a nice record of our times during, the beginnings of World War III.
It's fucking madness. Pardon my French. It's madness, whatever this is. Everyone's gone insane.
Yeah.
I'm past it. The truth doesn't matter. Reason doesn't matter. Everyone's lost their minds.
And it's everybody's fault. It ranges from the news to the corporations to the left to the right.
Yeah.
It's every long-standing institution has lost their mind.
The boomers lost their minds. The millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, everyone's gone insane.
And I think
Nobody
we
is
can
making any
blame,
sense.
mostly we can blame the internet. I mean, I think the media would have fallen apart eventually anyway, because we live in an American capitalist system where everything needs to be squeezed for every dollar possible. So I do think the media would have become more and more polarized.
But the
because
media wasn't making money before.
Right. And then they were like, hey, this should make money.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so you're blaming this on late stage capitalism.
100%.
Okay, and I'm
It's
blaming...
a combination of late stage capitalism and the invention of the internet and putting the internet in everybody's hands at all times. I think if the internet stayed in a room in your house, we wouldn't be half as close to the insanity that we're in right now.
Now, I take the internet away because, look, and this is messing with my head, and this is very Hegelian, and people get mad at me and be like, you can't say that everything is deterministic, blah, 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 blah. But 80 years ago, there was no internet. There was still a world war.
Yeah.
So we have made, it is messing with my head that no matter what you do to avoid something, every 80 to 100 years is just going to blow up, no matter what you do. And everything that you do to avoid it brings you back. It's like a time warp, a war time warp.
Because, yeah, the internet really should have helped people find...
Sorry, time paradox. No matter what you do brings you back to,
the internet should have helped people find common ground and, like, understand each other better.
And it did for a minute.
And maybe it did for a second. And then, I guess, in our late-stage capitalist culture, we're doing a thing on Kev on Stage Studios right now where we're kind of looking at different cultural things, and one of them was Black Planet, the social media network. So it was really literally the first social media network ever. And the guy who invented it walked away because he said, you know, I did this thing. It was in my mind, what I interpret from the way he talks about it was that, like, hey, I understood that the future was on the internet. This was my effort to get Black people on the internet. I've accomplished that. I'm going to go work on other things. So he went and he got his, like, 5th PhD from Harvard or whatever.
Nice.
And then you have people like Mark Zuckerberg and, you know, the other social networking people who were like, this is my money printing machine. And I found that very interesting. That had somebody more responsible been in charge of these platforms, I think we wouldn't have had the pushing of controversial things, the, like, pushing of hate watch at people.
Well, this comes back to the late stage capitalism. It has to make money. And you have all these people employed, people whose interest is keeping this going because they need to make money from it. Like, the whole board needs to make money from it. So even if we had a responsible person controlling this platform, the technology isn't proprietary.
Yeah.
They could figure it out. Like, someone else could figure it out how to do it, and then they would do it, and the person who made the most money would succeed anyway.
Yeah, there would have had to been guardrails put up in some way. But, like, for a perfect example is, like, Trump getting elected was a failure of the media and a failure of social media. But both of the things were motivated
and
by
you never
money.
blame the individual. It's a failure of individuals, of every individual.
But what helped was putting a completely unqualified grifter on TV and on people's pages just because it got more of a reaction and more eyeball time.
I can't disagree
which
with you
equates
there.
to more money.
Yeah. So although I don't necessarily blame late stage capitalism because I'm like, yo, this would have happened. I'm kind of leaning towards damned if you do, damned if you don't on this. Like, it's just gonna happen. We're gonna somehow find ourselves back in the same position no matter what route we take. That's where I'm leaning, and it's kind of messing with my head. But I see your point in this instance.
Well, tell us what you think, audience.
This has been an excerpt from the My Muses podcast. This week we talk about George Santos, we talk about woke, and we talk about Israel-Palestine, unfortunately. Sign up for my Patreon to get the full podcast.